This episode of Test Drive is brought to you by Elmec and their eAWD smart home charger.
So you probably wouldn't expect to see a logo like this on a car that looks like this one. Today, we're taking a look at the 2022 Ford Mustang Mach-E. So we're gonna start with the specs for this trim. This is the California Route 1, and it comes in all-wheel drive. Now you also have a 91 kilowatt hour battery that produces 346 horsepower and 428 pound-feet of torque. Ford says it'll do 0 to 100 in 5.1 seconds, and it comes with extended range for 502 kilometers on a full charge. Now, I haven't been seeing exactly 502 kilometers on a full charge this week, but the climate is a little bit colder, so bear that in mind. This car is also capable of up to 150 kilowatts of DC fast charging. So this trim MSRP is 73,370 Canadian, which is around 53,792 US. You can also get the base trim, and that's called the Select. That has a 70 kilowatt hour battery, and it comes with rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, and I like Ford for including both of those options. It will change your price, though, keep that in mind. It has a 397 kilometer range, and it starts at 51K. So it also comes in a premium trim, which is almost the same as the Route 1, with a little bit less range at 488 kilometers. It also comes rear-wheel drive and all-wheel drive as well, and also you get the nicer rims, and that starts at 60,000. Now, coming on to the GT, which is the fastest of them all, Ford says this one will do 0 to 100 in 3.7 seconds with a 418 kilometer range, and that one starts at 83,000. So let's take a look at the exterior. This has the black paint, which looks really nice. It does turn a lot of heads. I also noticed that Ford drivers, in particular, people driving other models of Fords, are the ones that are looking at this one the most. It definitely does turn heads though, but if you slap the metallic blue grabber paint on this, it will absolutely break neck. This car does look nice in every paint color, but the flashy ones are really what get the heads turning. So now taking a look at the front of the car, it has a really sporty and aggressive design, kind of a Mustang look, not too bad, and it also has your daytime running LED lights and automatic high beams. So the rear of this car is what looks most like a Mustang, with those iconic sequential turn signals and those lights that go right across the body. The rims are about as basic as it gets. They're clearly designed just to be there for aerodynamic sake. Getting into this car is actually quite interesting. All four doors have these little buttons that you press. The front two have a little handle. When the door presents itself to you, you pull that little handle and you're in. Now, Ford actually has introduced this interesting safety feature that once the door presents itself to you, you can't actually close it again. It prevents you from closing your hands in the door. So you actually have to open the door fully and then close it. Now the rear actually has no door handles at all. You press the button, the door presents itself to you, you slide your hand in the open space, and you pull out to enter. So having no door handles actually doesn't change as much as you think it would. So coming onto the interior of this car, it's got a very nice black leather. It looks very nice. Black on black always looks very cool. The leatherette seats are very comfortable, and you can also have 3 different driver profiles with 3 different drive settings. So you can also link that to your key fob. So if it notices that key fob number 1 associated with driver profile number 1 comes up to the car, it'll automatically switch to your driver settings. That's a really cool feature. It also comes with a massive 15.5-inch display. That's kind of the thing you notice right when you get in. It comes with Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and most of your settings are controlled in there. So you have your dual zone automatic climate control, your heated seats, your heated steering. It's all controlled through the infotainment system. There aren't a lot of actual buttons. You have your gear selector and then your 4-way selector and things like that, and also that big volume knob that you notice right away, but that's about it. Now, don't get me wrong, there is a lot of settings included in this car, which isn't a bad thing. It's just the way that you have to access those settings. There's a lot of menus and sub-menus, and to find certain things, I found myself taking more time than I think maybe you should. Tesla kind of has a bit more of a refined design, and I think they're trying to compete with Tesla, so you're going to hear us compare that a little bit more. It also comes with a 10.5-inch gauge cluster that has very basic speed info and your charge level and things like that, whether or not you're in one pedal drive or not, and your cruise control settings can be seen there, but you can't actually customize the stuff on there. I would have liked to see a bit of customization on that screen. So the rear seats are very comfortable, no complaints there. They're not heated, however. I think that may have been a missed option, especially on a trim level that is this high. There's also lots of headroom, so people that are 5'11" like myself fit in with absolutely no problem. And you have your vents back there as well, so you get very nice airflow. So you also get the moonroof in here, and it's super nice to look at. Super nice to look at when you're in the back, and just in general looks very nice, and it's really, really big. The trunk space is as big as you'd expect. It's even bigger if you fold down the seats. Lots of room for any storage. I never had any problems driving it this week. Front trunk is there. unlike other brands that don't really include it at all. It's nice to have, but not so easy to use. What I mean by that is when you want to access it, you actually have to open it like you would a normal combustion engine car. At the front, there's like a grab handle. You have to click it twice, and then it opens. There's no actual buttons. There's no button on the key fob. It doesn't open automatically, nothing like that. But you can also use the front trunk as a cooler. It has a drain in the bottom and 2 cup holders. You can fill that thing with ice and you can entertain guests, have a barbecue outside, or if you're just generally camping, it's really cool to have, and I actually don't mind that feature at all. The car also has 3 different drive modes. You have your Engage, which is your normal, you have your Whisper, and you have your Unbridled. Whisper is your Eco mode, and Unbridled being your Sport mode. People have complained that they should just name it Eco, Normal, and Sport, but I actually don't mind. I think it gives the Mustang its character. So that's about it for the exterior and the interior. Now we'll take it out on the road and take it for a test drive. All right, 2022 Ford Mustang Mach-E out on the road. So I've been driving this car for the past week, back and forth to work, and it's been super comfortable, absolutely no complaints. It's very smooth. The suspension is a little bit pillowy. It does kind of bounce around a lot in the bigger bumps that we do tend to have in these pothole-ridden Quebec streets sometimes, but nothing big to complain about. I could definitely do a road trip in this vehicle with absolutely no problem at all. This vehicle absolutely is no slouch at all. You press that pedal and you're going forwards with almost no effort. Now again, the Tesla is a bit more of a punch in the face, but this one's a bit more gradual. I feel like I can actually keep my eyes on the road with this. It is a very quick pickup, don't get me wrong. It's quick. It definitely does hit that 5.1 seconds 0 to 100 without much effort at all. And it's fun to do that. It's fun to do that when there's passengers here, but the Tesla just is a little bit more aggressive and it just kind of punches you in the face a little bit more. But this one's gradual. It's kind of like dragging you along slowly for the nice ride, but it's still very enjoyable and definitely kind of brings the Mustang into it. Now, I don't know if the microphones in the rear actually pick this up, but there's actually piped in audio. It's like a spaceship and like kind of like an engine noise. It actually does sound quite cool. I do enjoy it. I don't turn it off at all. You do have the option to turn that off, but I really like to have it on and it sounds really cool. So I'm definitely not gonna hate on that at all. Now handling, I do feel very confident I can take corners at pretty much whatever speed, within reason, obviously. In the rain, when I did take corners quite fast, the rear end was the first to come out with traction control on or off. It's always usually the rear end that comes out. This is a 4-wheel drive car, however, so the handling is very good. And in the winter, absolutely no worries with this car at all. Even on all-season tires, you probably could still scrape by it. The car has a very low center of gravity, so when you're turning, you feel that, and you feel the weight too. So that combined with the all-wheel drive will just kind of plant you in the floor. And it makes you just feel confident about taking turns however you want to take those turns. But I don't think the most important thing for a vehicle in this class like this is pinpoint handling and super fast 0 to 60. I really think it's the range, first and foremost, and also how it drives and how efficient it is. You're not buying an electric vehicle always for performance. You're really buying them for comfort, features, and range. And features, this has a ton of them. So it does have the Ford Pass app, which you can link your phone to, use your phone as a key, and it's super seamless, super easy. You can also control your climate control, stuff like that, from the Ford Pass app. I didn't use it this week because it's obviously not my car, and I didn't want to register it and then have to, I didn't want to make anything too complicated, so I just kind of kept it standard, but it is the option if you want it there. Also, you have Blue Cruise. Blue Cruise can be looked at as the equivalent to Tesla's autopilot. It does drive by itself. It does use the lane centering things to kind of keep you in line with where you want to go. And it does have this nice sensor. You'll see it in some of the shots. You'll see the sensor behind the steering wheel that actually watches the way you drive. It pays attention to your eyes. So if I look away for too long, it'll tell me, you're not paying attention to the road. And if you look away long enough, it'll put the 4-ways on and pull you over, which is quite cool. Now, Blue Cruise is meant to be sort of completely autonomous. I don't think it's here yet in Canada. It only works on mapped out highways and roads. So Blue Cruise actually told me to keep my hands on the steering wheel pretty much the whole time. So I pretty much never had fully like take my hands off the steering wheel, but it's nice that it's included and it's not a super expensive add-on. There's actually no add-ons with this car. What you see is exactly what you get. If you want to have more stuff, well, you got to go up and trim, and I actually do really like that. Speaking a little bit more about features, the wireless Apple CarPlay in this is absolutely seamless. Also, you have this massive display with a coming update that's going to bring some video streaming into it. So when you're charging your car, you'll actually be able to enjoy YouTube videos. I think I didn't see exactly what streaming service would be coming to it, but definitely something very nice to see and very nice to have. You'll notice in some of the rear shots as well that it also has a rear wiper. Now, I didn't find that the slope of the rear window actually doesn't really require a wiper, but I love that Ford's included that. Some manufacturers don't even bother including it, and that's a little bit of a downside because some actually need it. Ford could have gotten away with it, but I'm so glad I have it. Talking about the front wipers as well, there's no problem with them. They do exactly what they're supposed to do, but when you want to actually change the level, there's no pop-up in the center gauge cluster to tell you what level of wiping you're on. It doesn't tell you anything. You just kind of have to go off the stock and the speed that you visually see. It would have been nice to have just a little pop-up, but I do think that that's something that could be fixed in the future with a over-the-air software update. There's also a nice amount of separation between the driver and the passenger. I know that in some other EVs, it's kind of, there's no storage or anything. It's just like, there's nothing there. I can see the other person's feet, which to me, I prefer to have the separation because that way I'm confident that nothing, if something is dropped, it's not going to get in my feet when I'm driving and not going to interrupt any of that. So that's really nice to see that there is a very good amount of separation between driver and passenger here. So let's talk a little bit more about those over-the-air software updates. So far, I've seen the update history for Ford. I think it's pretty consistent, pretty well thought out, and I haven't actually seen too many complaints on glitches and stuff like that. So they've tested these updates well, and they're rolling them out accordingly. So that's really nice to see. You never want to have an infotainment bug after an update or anything like that. So far, so good in that area. But you also have to look at, eventually you'll have hardware limitations to where the software is going to be updated, but the hardware is too old and it can no longer handle the software. That's one of these things we're going to have to look out with not just Ford, but all the EVs. We're going to have to really keep an eye on that fact, is that eventually your hardware will be too old, software update will get released, and then you'll get a list of all the cars that, guess what, is not getting that software update anymore. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to affect the used market as well, and it's going to be something that we have to keep an eye on going forward. But we, of course, will keep you guys updated on the channel here when that starts to happen. That will probably start to happen when these EVs become more available and less kind of scarce, because production will pick up eventually, I hope. So overall, I've enjoyed my time very, very much with the Mustang Mach-E. It's going to hurt having to bring this back and park it up and put the keys away and wait till the next time I get to drive it. But I actually can't wait to see where Ford goes. If I'm being honest, when I compare this directly to the Tesla price point and features and everything, I think that if I had the money right now to put down on an EV, it was available, I could walk to the dealership and buy it, I think I would definitely go with the Ford Mustang, just because it does have that automatic driving, the Blue Cruise, the autopilot, whatever you want to call it. It has that, and it doesn't charge you extra for it. It doesn't charge you extra for heated seats. It doesn't charge you extra for all these different things, and the build quality is a lot better. Don't get me wrong, I do love Tesla. I do think they're really cool, and I think they're fun to drive cars, but just in terms of features and for price to what you get, I think Ford has a very, very good lock on that, and I would highly, highly recommend that you test drive this vehicle as soon as you can. I think the only place that you have to keep in mind is whether or not you have good access to superchargers. That is going to be quite the game changer in a lot of senses. Supercharging networks for the non-Tesla vehicles is okay, and it's getting better, but it's not great right now. So if you already have a home wall charger or you plan to buy one with this car, then you probably don't have much to worry about, especially if you're just doing daily driving. But if you want to road trip the car, you're really reliant on good working supercharging technology, and I'm not sure that that's there yet, but once it is, then this is the obvious go-to over Tesla. Tesla has to do something to respond to this. Of that, I am absolutely sure. But I think that is going to do it for this video. Like I said, I really, really enjoy the Ford Mustang Mach-E. I can't wait to see where they go. I'd love to get my hands on a Mustang GT. It would be so cool to see that one on the road and do a couple performance tests and a comparison to this one. I would absolutely love it. If you liked what you saw, give the video a like, make sure you subscribe. PRN also has a Utreon that if you want to subscribe and get kind of behind the scenes access to different things that me and Niall are doing on the channel, you can go ahead and do that as well. Of course, it's never forced. It'll always be free here on YouTube, and we always will enjoy doing it, but it does encourage to keep us going if you subscribe and you like and you leave us a comment and let us know what you think about the Ford Mustang Mach-E. Do you think that it belongs in the Mustang category? Do you think that it shouldn't be called a Mustang or not? Personally, I think that the Mustang, it belongs there, but also it's just gonna get you talking about the car. That's what Ford's overall goal is. Calling this a Mustang with a new car, you're gonna talk about it and it's gonna get people to test drive the car, and that's what you want anyways. But anyways, that's gonna do it for us. I can ramble on all day about this car, but that's gonna do it today for this car. And we will see you in the next one. Take care.